Want to really impress your friends while at the same time letting them know how much you really like them? Nothing says, "I think you're swell," than serving a bottle of wine that they've never seen before and they can't get at their local wine store. How can you do that easily? I'm going to let you know on this episode of The Average Wine Enthusiast. Hi there, everybody. My name is Mike LaPlante, and I'm the Average Wine Enthusiast. What do we do on this show? We tell folks about how to get a good value for their wine buying dollar. That's the whole premise of this show, really. Because I'm just an average guy. I'm not a doctor or lawyer making tons of cash. I'm not even an Indian chief not making tons of cash. And I enjoy drinking wine on a regular basis. You know, you can spend a lot of money on wine a year. I remember reading a story about, who was not Rob Lowe, but Johnny Depp. He said he was very insulted that when he was doing his divorce settlement, that they said his wine budget for the month was $10,000. Yikes! He said, it's nowhere near $10,000. It's way more than that. So, no, I'm not Johnny Depp. I look nothing like Johnny Depp. I can't even act like him. And I sure don't look as good as him in front of a camera. But I got a voice for radio. What the heck am I doing in front of a camera? I have no idea. Anyway, back to my point about trying to inform folks about wine in general, give them a little education so that when you go buy a bottle of wine, you understand a little bit about maybe its history, the way it's made, and stuff like that. So another way that folks can possibly save some money, but yet have an amazing bottle of wine in their possession, is to have the wine shipped to them. Now, this isn't as easy as it is to say. I was going to say it's not easy as it sounds, because it is not easy at all. But you might go to a wine region. Here in Ontario, we have, the Niagara region is relatively well known. A lot of folks go there because Niagara Falls is there and it's a tourist destination already. Is the wine industry there or the size of the wine industry there a result of that? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll get into that in a future show. We have a small wine region here in Essex County. But also in this country, we have an amazing wine region in British Columbia, in the Okanagan Valley there. It's basically just a extension of California, Oregon, Washington, and then British Columbia. All those places are near the ocean. They have relatively temperate weather there. The winters, you're going to get some snow in British Columbia, but that doesn't really affect the vines very much there. And in the wintertime in California, there's nothing much going on with the vines there either. They're just getting pruned and just sitting there, basically. Dormant, I'm not sure about that. All that area there grows some really good grapes for making wine. If you've ever had the pleasure of going to British Columbia, you know what I'm talking about as far as the quality of the wine that they make there. But even if you go to California or Oregon or Washington, a lot of these wineries try to talk you into becoming wine members that belong to their clubs, and then they'll ship wine out to you. Shipping wine from the United States into Canada, it would be cost prohibitive. You would double the cost of your wine, maybe even more. I'm not sure. So even if you, like me, who lives right near the border, have the wine shipped to some place in Detroit, you still have to bring the wine into the country. So it isn't all that easy. There's arrangements you can make to maybe bring a few bottles in at a time, which that has worked for me in the past. I wouldn't suggest that though. But if you're like me, who lives in Ontario, the government of Ontario is relatively restrictive as far as allowing beer, liquor, wine to come in from other provinces into Ontario. Quite recently, the federal government got rid of all the rules that pertain to the cross-province transportation of spirits, beer, and wine. Yay for them. But the government of Ontario they own the LCBO, so that's a business. And as a business, they have to protect interests. And the interests they protect are, they have to make sure that the stuff that they're selling isn't being undercut by somebody else outside of the province, let alone the fact they have to also protect the beer industry here. We have Hiram Walker's is right in the city that I live in. And of course, there's the wine industry as well. It's, the Niagara area is where the second largest wine region in Canada is. So they're trying to protect that. But they're my government. And they're making rules based on the business they own. It's not quite right. And maybe I'll get into that a little bit more in a future show, but that's what we have to contend with. So if I want to bring wine in from out of the province, like someplace awesome like British Columbia, I have to go there and get it and fly it home because, there's no liquor police at the airport. But if I want to have it shipped, most wineries will ship it to you now, especially. However, they cannot use the big guys, the FedExes and the UPSs and the Purelators, because those folks, they have to play by the rules. And, well, everybody should be playing by the rules, but they're so big, they don't want to be doing this on a large-scale basis, and they don't want to become brokers because they would have to pay these duties when they bring the booze into the province. But the wineries have been getting around this by using alternative shippers. And these shippers are smart because they're saying, we're going to do this, and no one has gone to court yet over this. So we're going to continue filling this little niche market of folks wanting to get wine shipped to them from British Columbia. I've used from Cassini Cellars, which is in British Columbia, they used Loomis, which I had to wait for the right weather for them to ship it to me. I think it was right in the middle of winter, and they would not ship it because they were afraid that it was something was going to damage the wine. Obviously, if it freezes, that's no good. But this time, I went to a different winery, and they used a company called ATS Healthcare Solutions. And if you're willing to wait, they take a little longer than Loomis, if it was to get shipped as soon as you order it and you get it here. But it was cheaper, and it's temperature controlled, which is awesome. It's the middle of summer right now, and I don't want my wine sitting in a hot place, whether it's the truck or some warehouse somewhere. It's all temperature controlled, and they service the healthcare industry, but they also service wineries. Yay, ATS. So yeah, I was in British Columbia a couple years ago, 2017. And one of the wineries we visited was one called Kettle Valley. And if you ever go in that area, if you're in Naramata, which is where a lot of the benches are, where a lot of the wineries are in British Columbia, a lot of these places are big installations, and they're beautiful frontages, and they put a lot of money into the retail end of it and making it look really nice. So if you're driving down that main Naramata road, you'll see little mom and pop wineries as well. I suspect a lot of those are getting bought up though. But right at the very end of the road was this winery called Kettle Valley. And it seemed as though you were pulling into somebody's driveway. And, we knocked on the door because we're thinking we're at someone's house. Hey, this place on the map says it's Kettle Valley. And sure enough, it was Kettle Valley Winery. And that is where they do a lot of the bottling, and they do the administration there as well. And they do tastings there. And wow, some really good wines come out of Kettle Valley. So the last time my brother came to visit me, which was last year, I had him bring me a case of Kettle Valley wine. Again, he didn't. There was no issue. You fly into the airport and you just bring it on in. So a nice thing about ordering from Kettle Valley is they get your email address. And once they get your email address, they send you these notices saying we're going to be releasing some wines. Wineries are getting very smart. They're holding their wine back so that when it is released, it's a few years old and it tastes really good. And when something is aged more and the wine is better, you can charge more money for it. Very smart on the winery's part. They have to pay to hold the wine somewhere, but they get their money back in the fact that they get to charge more money for the wine. And folks tend to like those wineries more because they think that the wine that they're getting on a consistent basis is quality wine. And that is definitely the case with Kettle Valley. So I had this wine showed up at my door yesterday because they had sent me an email and they told me all this wine that's being released, and you basically fill out the form, email it back to them, send them your credit card, or I think I called them with my credit card information, and next thing you know, I'm getting a case of wine from British Columbia delivered to my door. $55 to get this case of wine delivered here. So there's 12 bottles in a case, $50. It's a little less than $5 extra per bottle. The average savings, I want to say, was $4 per bottle. So I'm saying that the fact that I'm getting these early releases when they release them, they give you a little bit of discount because you're one of those customers that's buying cases. They're going to give you this discount when they release them, and basically the discount pays for my shipping. So it would be as if I was to go there and buy the wine right at Kettle Valley, and it's in my house right now here in beautiful Windsor, Ontario. So why don't we just crack it open and let's see what's inside. Okay, so let's bust into the case of wine from Kettle Valley. Little unboxing. I used to do these back in the day when I was a tech dude, into the tech scene. We would unbox our new iPhones and our iPods and stuff like that. It seems as though that this is being held with a little bit of glue. Haven't seen that before. It's very interesting how this is. Look at that. They put glue on here. That's cool. Little added safety thing, I guess. I'll just leave this up here like this. Push this down. I assume that's a receipt. And this is a very common type of shipper stuff. So what do we have here? We have my favorite. I bought 6 of these. So it's the 2014 Syrah Naramata Bench Reserve Primo wine. It's amazing, and it's 5-year-old wine, almost. Of course, the vintage means when the grapes were harvested. So we're not in harvest season yet. In fact, we're at the very beginning of summer, but this will probably not be cracked probably for years to come. Who knows? But I think I'm going to open up one of these up tonight or possibly this weekend. So that's what we have there. This one was $33, regularly $38 a bottle. But like I said, you add the shipping costs, and it just comes out in the wash. It's as if I went to Kettle Valley and bought some of their very best wine released just recently. 5-year-old Syrah. Kettle Valley has 2 tiers of wine. They have Great Northern, and Kettle Valley. Kettle Valley is their higher end stuff. This bottle of Merlot, their 2016, is 22, regularly 27 or 28. So again, discounted because of the release. Comes out in the wash when you ship it. So I think I just bought 1 bottle of that. And then I also bought some Malbec out of Kettle Valley. I have never tried their Malbec. as you know, if you've watched any of my previous shows, I'm a huge fan of Malbec, and of course, all the good Malbec comes from Argentina, and Argentina and British Columbia are nowhere near, and I'm guessing this is going to be nowhere near the same. I'm guessing that this is going to be very interesting to drink. Possibly let you know what I thought of it in a later show. And one bottle of their Riesling, which is 2016. I'm going to be very tempted to open this soon, because we do some Rieslings up here in Ontario as well, and I'm very curious what the difference is, between the hinterland and the coastal lands. So yeah, this is the Harvey Naramata Bench. These cool little names here. They are denotes where specific fields are. They give them names. So there you have it, kids. A little unboxing of my case of wine from the Kettle Valley Winery in beautiful Naramata, British Columbia. If you live in the United States and you find yourself at a really nice winery, check out to see if they ship wine to your home state, and see if it's okay to ship wine to your home state, because states are very similar to provinces in their liquor and wine and beer regulations. There's still places in the United States that don't sell liquor in specific counties. It's crazy, but it's true. So yeah, and if you're in Canada, I would highly recommend getting some British Columbia wine shipped to your place. And even if you go to Niagara Falls, the Niagara wine region, I would just call it Niagara Falls, and you find a winery there that you think has some pretty decent wine, well, first of all, if you're tasting the wine there and you like it, buy a case of it, bring it home. And if you find yourself running out and you're not going to Niagara area anytime soon, see what it takes for you to ship the wine to your place in Ontario or some other place even in Canada. And you may find yourself with some quality wine in your cellar or wherever you keep your wine, and you'll have something good to a go-to, something that you say, oh, I got a really good bottle of wine waiting because I purchased a case of it and had it shipped to my house. It's a good way, not necessarily to save money, but it's a good way to be economical with the good wine that you purchase. When I say good wine, I mean like a really good, high quality bottle of wine. I guess that's going to do it for this episode. If you like the show, please subscribe. And if you have any comments, leave them down below. Tell your friends about the show on social media. I am the Average Wine Enthusiast on social media. And speaking of the Average Wine Enthusiast, that's me. My name is Mike LaPlante, the Average Wine Enthusiast. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Salute!